welcome back. I'm Tonya from Tonya's Witchy Kitchen. And how are you doing today? Isn't this weather crazy? We've had ups and downs. We've had, like, last week, we had days where it was 60 above, and then it would drop to 30, and then it'd be 20 degrees the next day, and then 40 the next day. So we have snow that is constantly melting. Like, you know, you get a little bit dumped on, and then so we have no snow again. We have a beautiful pond for the duck, though. Oh, yeah, I just, this weather is crazy. This is not February weather for us at all. At all. I am gonna go on that tangent again that I was on the last video of surrendering, not in that respect. This lady gave me this beautiful thing where she says, here's another load, Jesus. Here's another load, Jesus. Just to get it, I can't deal with this, you know. Here's another load. And my friend and I kind of giggled about it, but it is a great thing, right? But so then this morning, I was thinking about that and thinking, like, what if each of us had a Grand Canyon's worth to fill in our lifetime, right? So if you took a wheelbarrow and you took all the stuff for that day and then you just pushed it over the edge of the Grand Canyon, right? Just take care of this, Jesus. Take care of this. Now, in retrospect, he could bring a bunch of rain and wash it out. So you know, it's never ending. You can dump as much in there as you want. Well, then I decided I'm gonna look this up, right? Because that's just me. So, how many loads, how many wheelbarrow loads would it take to fill up the Grand Canyon? Okay. So it would take, according to Google, it would take approximately 49 to 76 trillion wheelbarrow loads, depending on the size of the wheelbarrow. So I decided to go with the lowest number, okay, 49 trillion wheelbarrow loads, okay, of stuff that I want Jesus to take care of, because there's so much stuff, right? Okay, so if I live to be 100, like my grandpa, or let's anybody live to be 100, just to give a good age, okay? So if you live to be 100, you would have 490 billion loads per year. Okay, still a lot of loads, okay? Now, when you divide that out per days, it's 1,342,465,753 wheelbarrow loads a day. Isn't that crazy? Like, you could never actually use it up. You can never, I mean, by the second, how many, you know, per second, like per hour, per second, you're still, I mean, you'd have to be constantly even to try and fill it up, but he's infinite and, you know, you'd never fill it up in your lifetime. Isn't that cool? So you just take all the things you can't take care of and you just push them off the edge. Okay, fine. Anyway, today we're doing another Valentine soap. This one's a little different and you will see why. It doesn't look different, but you'll see the video is a little different and you'll see why. So 3 things: be kind, be forgiving, be you. And let's go check out the next Valentine soap, Blackberry and Orange. Okay, well, for once I have the house to myself and we'll see how long that lasts, because that normally doesn't last very long. And of course my furnace is gonna turn on just because it can. Well, actually, because it's kind of raining, snowing, sleeting, it can't make up its mind. Okay, so why do soapers wear gloves? Well, simply because 2 reasons. The lye water, you know, lye is what you put down your you know, your tub, your drains to clean them out, right? Works way better than liquid plumber. It's actually safer than liquid plumber. But it will burn. Now, at this point, a lot of people tell me they get lye burns, and I'm just like, how? Like, what are you doing? Taking a blender to it? So you don't. You add your water, you add your lye. If you want to add a little salt or a little sugar or a little aloe vera juice or wine or whatever, you can always add that here in your lye water, okay? You can have 50% water and aloe vera juice, or 50% water and, you know, liquor or coffee, or 100% aloe vera, 100% coffee, 100% orange juice. I don't think it really matters. Your soap might be a little weird, but okay. And you want to make sure it's dissolved. And you want to make sure it's to temp. Yeah. Oils. Oils need to be heated up at least once thoroughly, above maybe 130 degrees. Depends on how many butters and stuff you have in there. And then mix it up really well. And then you can store it and just dump it as you need to. So, you know, that's how that goes. So this was heated up. Just seems a little cool in my house today. And that's just how it is. Can you add your fragrance oils to your oils? Yes. Most people add all their additives to their oils. Now, I don't like to, because I like to get to emulsion first. And then, which is where the oils and the lye have combined. Just depends on what, you know, light, a very slight emulsion to a thin trace to a thick trace to a basically, you know, thick emulsion. Depending on what I'm doing. Now, I put clays in here. You could put your titanium dioxide in here if you wanted the whole batch with titanium dioxide. You could add your fragrance oils. You can add your pumice powder, your orange peel, your oats, your whatever. You can add them all in here and blend it up if that's how your design is, okay? All I have in here is my kaolin clay, because this is just going to be a simple Valentine soap. Now, can you make soap without an immersion blender? Yes. Does it take longer? Yes. It takes a lot longer. I think one girl said it took her 10 minutes, where, you know, me, it's like 30 seconds with the, you know, like literally, okay? But what you want to do is whatever you put in here, you want to blend it up thoroughly. Okay, now if you have bigger batches, you might want to blend it for a couple minutes before you add your lye water. So everything's about, you know, they say, oh, 10 degrees between your lye water and your oils. I've never found that to be totally true, so I'm not even going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you room temp is a great place to start. You know, let your lye water sit out overnight. I mean, cover it, you know. Don't reuse the container. Like if you put it in a plastic container, you know, don't use that for food. I don't know why, because it's just lye water. It's really, I mean, people make a big deal about it, but it's like, I have all sorts of opinions, so maybe I shouldn't tell you them. Okay, but this is my lye water into my soaps, my oils. And the chemical reaction is called saponification. So if you say the oils are saponified, it's just the chemical process they went through with the lye water. Now you can see there are like liquid oil trails, meaning it's not totally to trace yet. But because I have to add my fragrance oil, I'm not going to do that yet. Now this is a blend. A blend I have been doing since the first time I got these oils, like since I ever bought them. Obviously this is, been doing this a while. But it's actually, so it's Satsuma Orange. Is that how you say that? It's orange from Nurture's Homemade, which is old bottle. So it's half of this. This is actually a bigger batch than my other one. And you don't want to get fragrance oils on your skin. That's another reason to wear gloves. And I'm not going to say this is going to scorch you immediately, because I have actually hand planted my hand, bare hand, onto a thing of soap. Not immediately, but it does heat up, and you know, it's advised not to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to test that out. This is not, you know, Mythbusters or anything. It's like, it's just called playing it safe. Okay. The other half is Blackberry Ambrosia. And they smell amazing together. Let me just say that. The last shave bars I made were Blackberry Ambrosia. Well, I actually probably not. I've also make minty mango shave bars, which are really delightful too. But so you want to just blend this till you get your fragrance oil pretty much blended in there. Not excessively, you know, because if we're going to do a drop swirl, depending on the pour, you don't want to do that. And you want to clean your stick blender off as best as you can. Like, I always cut this off because I don't show you that. You're always, I just, you know, it's just a, but I do clean the inside as well as I can with my finger, you know, trying to stay away from that blade or pushing the blade around. Yeah, you get a little anal retentive about, your soap batter. Like you know who soapers are because they scrape all the containers from the leftovers, you know, very thoroughly after you start soaping. You figure that out why. I'm just gonna reuse this, and like I said, my batch is a little bit bigger than normal, so I don't know how much is gonna end up. Okay, whoops. Some of this might end up going into a different mold. But we're going to start with, what are we going to do? 4, 8, 32, 8. Yeah, we'll go 6. This is the problem with designing your soap and changing the soap midpoint. I do this a lot. It doesn't screw me up. It's just amount of colors, you know. And 6 in this one, and then we're gonna leave this ooh, that was close. I'm not going to I could tint this with titanium dioxide to bring it to a white, but this is Nurture's Homemade. It's just, so it says no acceleration or discoloration. The Valentine's 0, so I should not have any discoloration from that one, and the Valentine in this one is 0 too, so no acceleration or discoloration is what their soap notes are, so I shouldn't have any problems with the color, and I'm fine with the natural color of the soap. For a drop swirl, a traditional drop swirl, and then I found that my oils in here, that was oil and mica, just a little bit of extra oil when I mixed up my oils, right? That was just a little bit of extra oil put in this container, and of course it hardened up because there's a lot of hard oils in my typical batter. We might have to take the immersion blender to this sucker because he doesn't look like he wants to stay chunky. Dang it, I didn't want to do this, but we will, because sometimes a woman's got to do what a woman's got to do. Okay, now hitting this with the emulsion blender like that is going to, I say hitting as in mixing, it's going to actually make this a little thicker. It's going to take it to a thicker emulsion, or a thicker trace is the jargon word for soapers. It's actually emulsion. And the soap, as I'm sitting here, like, it is heating up. Even if I started at room temp, eventually it's going to heat. Ooh! Oh, is it one of those days? Sometimes I think maybe I'm not supposed to be soaping at this time. But I lost my train of thought, and this one doesn't even want to come out. It's all on the bottom. Oh, you want to know my colors? My colors for these, the purple is my new Vineyard from Mad Micah's. And the orange is Brambleberry Sunset Orange. Sorry, Sunset Orange with a little bit of Neon Orange Mica from Mad Micah's. Why the neon? I don't know. Sometimes I do it when the colors discolor, just to give it that initial base color just a little more pop. Sometimes I do it with the purples. You'll notice that in the grape soda pop. I do that often, just to give it a little more oofta. This is a oofta. This is not going well. Figures. Okay, so see, this is going to be much thicker than this one. Not by much. But I'm almost leery to do a drop swirl because they are so thick. Well, should we or shouldn't we? Okay, traditional drop swirl, you put 2/3 approximately of this in the base. I go for less than that. Mine's like probably half. And then you hold it up really high, and to do a drop swirl, you just pour it really high in there where you want it to go. Okay? And then you take your second color and drop it really high where you want it to go. Now, I'm going to tell you, these are just on the side of barely working. For me. Not for another soap, or this might be their typical thickness, and I think we all get comfortable with our batters and the way they work, right? Which makes sense. This one, again, hold it up high. I'm probably a foot above, and drop it down. Yeah, see, I have all sorts of conversations with myself when I'm filming, and then when it comes time to actually talk to you, I don't it's like, what was I talking about when I made the soap? I don't know. These won't go all the way to the bottom, which is why I do the skinny drop, which is where I only put like maybe 1/2 inch of batter in there. This is like, yeah, come on, we can do it. Yeah, he's just Now, if it's too thick, you do have the option to take a hanger to it. Do a hanger swirl. Okay? And that works also. Just wondering where I want to stop with this, because what I did is, I didn't want to tell you this, but I screwed up pouring my lye solution in here. And so I had too much lye in my water, and I'm not going to throw it out. So what I do is I recalculate my oil recipe, and then just add the difference of oils. Usually I just add coconut oil. So just so that it comes out, so my lye isn't, so I don't end up with a lye heavy soap. So it's like, you know, so I calculate how much lye I went over versus how much my recipe naturally is, and what approximately it would be, and then I go back and I add like the extra coconut in there, and then make sure that it comes out on the calculator, as that's what I need for the coconut, and it'll give me the correct amount of lye that I accidentally dumped in there. And then, yeah, so that's why this one's got a lot more soap than usual. But it's working pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So, and then you get to this point where it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to take a spoon and scoop it? Do you want to take a chopstick and swirl it? You know, and actually, no. Or the knife and just flick it across, which would be kind of cute on this one. I think I'm just gonna do this. Because that orange is just so cool. So pretty. I know there's just so many options on what you could do with that top of the soap. And so at this point, I would stick it. It's going to go in the oven and see pop. After I get this bubble out. Don't want him in there. Okay, that's where he's going. And so what else I do is then I keep little molds down here. So I keep my little molds right below my bench here. And then I can just, you scrape it down. This is an easy way for me to scrape it down. I'm sure people have their own way of scraping the bowls down. And then I just fill up my little molds. And these actually don't get C-popped, so it's kind of fun to see what colors, how the colors change from C-popping and not C-popping, and that's a good way for you to know which, does it benefit you or not. Sometimes people don't do it, but they want the gel phase. C-popping, cold process, oven process. I think that's what it stands for. They do it so to make the soap gel. Okay. Interesting enough, that gel phase is what the big companies, when they make their soap, that gel, to bring it creates glycerin, which is why sometimes I have massive glycerin rivers, because I've probably over gelled it. I don't know if that's the thing, but too much water, I don't know. It's when you gel it and then you get all those, you get the glycerin. That's a byproduct of soap, is glycerin. Okay? Big companies take that glycerin out, like Ivory Soap maybe, or I don't want to say any, like the big companies, okay? Irish Spring, the ones that, if it doesn't say soap and that's the only thing it says is soap, I don't even know if they're not supposed to label it soap if it's not actually soap like this, because what they do is they take the glycerin out, so they get a second product, and then they put chemicals in there to give you the same feeling as the glycerin. So I'm going to put that in the oven, and I'll see you tomorrow. That's how you know I was authentic, because I said, I'll see you tomorrow. For me, it would be, but for you, it's same day. Now, these look really good. There's no soda ash on them, per se. I love the top. It really textured so nice because it was thick, which is a bonus to thick batter, There's always a bonus to thin batter, and there's a bonus to thick batter, and I'm just not patient enough all the time to wait for it to thicken up and, become thick to do some interesting stuff. It is what it is, and that's how it is. But these turned out super cute. No hanger swirl in there, just basic drop swirlage, and they look great, don't they? They really do. I love them. They're awesome. And they do smell amazing. The two fragrance oils together are just absolutely yummy. And here are the fragrance notes to these beautiful swirled bars. Here are the bars right when I cut them. And here are the bars after they are cured. They look pretty good, if I say so myself. But anyway, I hope you had a good time. Thank you for dropping by, and I will see you next time. God bless.